So members of NEC, in their wisdom at that time, took that view because a lot of people were looking at how to preserve the unity of the party and the crisis that will come out of trying to hold Congress.
Is there likely to be a crisis or disunity in the party enough to tear it apart if you win it? No, but you say there's that. I guess the argument of those who took the option of let's extend their tenure decided to do that, as you said, because they're looking at the possibility of disunity or discord coming up in the congresses and conventions. But is that enough reason to set aside the constitution of the party and the country until the president raised that matter?
The president is also a member of the party, and he also has an obligation to try to guide the party, which is what he has done. What I'm simply trying to say is that the way this thing is being played out in the press is not correct. It is not like Oyegu. It is not like Oyegu.
But the press is reporting what the president said, what the next said. So the press
what I'm saying
what didn't happen.
It's not like Oyegu tried to sneak an elongation for himself, and then people came out. That's not how it happened. I'm just trying to explain the background to the decision. Positions were canvassed, and the vote was taken. So we all decided that. Now, once the president came and pointed out both the likely moral and legal pitfalls that this portends for the party, of course we changed our position and we're backing what he has said, and that's what we are going to do.
Senator, when you look at some of the efforts at reconciliation within the party, you know, there have been arguments that the Tinubu committee is at loggerheads with the current leadership of the NWC led by the national chairman, John Oyegun. And I want to ask you, in view of this just abrupt U-turn of the party on this issue of tenure extension, how does that now affect the reconciliation effort around the country in chapters like your chapter in Rivers State or Kaduna and some of these other states?
Well, I think what it means is that the Reconciliation Committee will have to work harder and faster, not just before, during, and after, but even after the congresses, because definitely there will be fallouts. But what people have to understand is that as long as we're all committed to holding the party together, Nigeria really doesn't have a problem. We are the only group that has the base broad enough across the country. We are the only group that has a clear definition of clear vision of where Nigeria needs to go.
Even though people will always argue with that.
People will argue with that, but I mean, that's the reality on the ground. And we're the ones that have set a course for this country. So what we need to do is to make the sacrifices that are necessary to hold our group together and hold our country together. And that's what I think everybody is trying to do.
But this Reconciliation Committee, that my colleague just highlighted, because at some point, it came across as though their recommendations fell on deaf ears. NEC eventually went on, as you also say, it didn't reflect with the votes when they eventually took that decision. Would you then, or would you think that that committee's job should continue after the congresses, or when does it end? Will another committee go ahead and address those issues that will come up after the congresses specifically?
I think the president was very, very clear in his message at the NEC meeting. He said everybody should work with the Reconciliation Committee and give them every support that is needed. I think that's what the president said. And that is the position of NEC, which was also reiterated by the national chairman. So there may be issues, but I believe that the fundamental principles are quite clear. And I see the party working in that direction.
Senator, what does this now mean for, you know, we know that just before that late February NEC decision to extend the tenure, the state party chairman came together and essentially said that this is what the party should do before they ultimately ratified that or agreed on it. Now, with the state party chairman, for example, how is it that they are going to adjust? Because when you talk about a place like Kaduna, for example, you have the national chairman supporting one EXCO, and then you have the Tinubu Reconciliation Committee supporting another one. Now that the party has clearly taken a decision on who it's kind of on the tenure extension issue, where does this now leave some of these factions in the states?
I don't think that analysis of the situation is correct. The state chairman took that position before the present situation in the party arose, and I think they voted in favor of what they had decided. You need to understand that there are different groups that make up the National Executive Committee of the APC, and then the state chairman, of course, being over 36 of them, are a formidable group within the NEC of the party. But there are also other groups. The governors, as you know, are the main players as far as the politics is concerned, because a lot of these chairmen would also, at the end of the day, listen to their governors. Members of the National Assembly, like myself, are members of NEC. You know, there are different groups within the NEC. And when a decision like this comes up, the first instinct of any group is to look at how it affects them and those that they represent. But where we are now, nobody can look at that anymore, because we are now looking at what the interest, the collective interest of the party should be, where the direction of the party should be. And the president, who is the leader of the party and the leader of the government that we have formed, has come out to clearly say what he expects us to do as a party. And I believe that everybody understands that at this point, that is what we are going to do. The next challenge the party will face is how to conduct these congresses in a manner that is credible, free, fair, that reflects what Nigerians expect of the All Progressives Congress.
You know,
that is a challenge that is before us.
Yeah.
And I believe that we're working towards that in a manner that shows that we understand what